Hello, everyone. Here's your weather hazard briefing for Saturday, July 2nd. We still have some thunderstorms ahead for this 4th of July weekend. And what does that mean? We're going to see some storms producing some gusty winds and small hail, especially the storms that don't produce a lot of rain. We tend around here, when we get these storms that heavier rainfall in some parts of the country, those the ones that produce the strongest winds. Around here, we tend to see the locally heavy rainfall winds not as strong but as gusty, and also small hail. Just to kind of give you a little background on the weather in our area during these particular events. Outside of thunderstorms, there will be some gusty winds in the afternoon. And once we get past the 4th of July, we're going to have a prolonged period of warm and dry conditions, above average temperatures, and it's possible we might see 100 degrees around here in a few spots by the time we get to the end of next week. Satellite this morning shows a southwest flow over the area. You can see a little batch of moisture across the South Hills, also into the southeast highlands, also moving into the Snake Plain. Some moisture and some showers lingering from yesterday up across portions of Montana as well. And we're going to see what's coming in from the south and west today increase with the thunderstorm potential. Now, looking back to yesterday, here's where we saw the lightning strikes across eastern and central Idaho, even into western Wyoming and to southwest Montana. A few over across the Tetons and over in the Big Holes, but most of it was clustered from the South Hills, the Albany Mountains, over into the higher elevations around Malad Summit, down into northern Utah. A few headed over did occur over towards the Bear Lake area. Now, looking at the weather risk outlook matrix, you'll see that we don't have anything painted beyond minor impacts, just because of anything that's going to be of impact at this point is going to be very localized. That could be where we see the gusty winds, the little bit of heavy rain and small hail. And like I said, outside of storms, it'll be breezy today across the South Hills and the southeast highlands. For tomorrow, the storm threat shifts northward. Behind that, to the south and to the west, gusty winds will be expected across the region. Going into the 4th, the wind will continue, not as strong as yesterday, but still storms confined to up towards the Montana border into the eastern highlands as well. And then we have high pressure building in, and as that does, the winds gradually decrease, but there will be breezy conditions in the afternoon over portions of central and eastern Idaho. So looking at where those storms are expected to track for today, you'll notice as we go through the morning, a few showers. Maybe we might see a thunderstorm, a lightning strike or two across the southeast highlands this morning over towards the Teton Valley. But you'll notice as we go into the afternoon, we have a couple of areas of development over the central mountains. The bigger threat, it looks like maybe coming in through the South Hills, the Albany Mountains, moving up the benches along the Snake Plain towards the Teton Valley. And then there's that area increasing over the central mountains. Storms may be a little more numerous than what we're showing here, simply because we're going to have outflow boundaries, and we tend to see storms develop along these outflow boundaries. But this kind of gives you the general idea of where these storms are going to be through the period. And you'll notice we have a pretty good batch of storms moving north and east across the Snake Plain this evening. That moves out, then we have more showers and even a few thunderstorms overnight, especially once you get up towards the Arco Desert into the eastern highlands, also into the central mountains. That threat will continue in the overnight hours, and this is an event where we will have some lightning likely in the overnight hours. Maybe not a lot, but a few strikes around. Pretty intense band over the central mountains at this point during the late night, early tomorrow morning hours. That shifts into Montana, and then we see more showers and thunderstorms, especially developing over the central mountains along the Montana border into southwest Montana. While it's not very likely, it's a very, very low chance we might see an afternoon shower or storm developing down in the South Hills, but that chance right now is pretty low across the area. So, and as we get into tomorrow, today we're not expecting severe weather. I don't think we'll see severe weather across the area tomorrow, except mainly potentially once you get up towards Chalice, and the increasing risk for severe weather occurs once you get into Limhi County, move across the Montana border into southwestern Montana. So looking back at the rest of the forecast as we go through time, today temperatures, once you get to around Blackfoot, Pocatello to the west, some lower to mid-90s in the forecast, mid to upper 90s as you head towards the Treasure Valley. Low 80s in Stanley. It's going to be in the 60s and 70s if you're headed up to the high country today. Here are those wind gusts this afternoon. Like we said, there'll be some gusty winds, not terrible, but down across the South Hills, the Southeast Highlands, some of those gusts may peak above 30 miles per hour for this afternoon. And like we said, not a lot of rainfall with this, a few hundredths. We might get a couple of storms late this afternoon and this evening over around Bone, over towards the big holes that might produce over a tenth of an inch of rain, but again, very isolated. For tonight, that risk of seeing over a tenth of an inch in the fire weather community, a chance of wetting rain, looks like it'll be across the Arco Desert, and especially once you get up towards Lone Pine and Monida Pass. Also a band developing overnight that area across the Central Mountains, especially from Stanley up through Salmon towards Lost Trail Pass. For tomorrow, with this storm moving in, it's going to bring a front tomorrow, cooling us off a few degrees across the board. I'd say about 5 or 6 degrees in a lot of areas for tomorrow. The winds will be a bit stronger across the Arco Desert into the Upper Snake Highlands, the Eastern Highlands, some of those gusts 30 to 35. Also across the South Hills, especially once you get over towards the Albion Mountains into the Southeast Highlands, some of these gusts will be 30 to 35 miles per hour, maybe a few spots 35 to 40 miles per hour. There's the better potential of accumulating or measurable rainfall for tomorrow, and a little better chance of seeing over a tenth of an inch. Right now, if you look at the percentages, the probability forecast, some of those behind-the-scenes forecasts, the chance of seeing over a tenth, or I should say over a quarter of an inch, especially tomorrow and a Monday, it's not very high. It's not zero, but we're talking very, very low at this point. Going into tomorrow night, that rainfall decreases, and going into Monday, it's still even cooler across the board as we are on the backside of the storm that's moving through the northwestern United States, the northern Rockies, and the Great Basin. And there's very little rainfall, but a few hundreds possible. Island Park over to about Mackay, Stanley, then on up through Limhi County as well. For Tuesday, we do begin that warm-up, and that warm-up will continue beyond Wednesday. You know, we talked about the potential of seeing maybe 100 degrees by the end of next week. For most of us, it's not a likely event at this point, but you get into the Magic Valley, the lower end of the Snake Plain. Some folks right now, the percentages, the probability is around 20 to 25% in some places. You get over into the Treasure Valley, Glenn's Ferry, Mountain Home, and especially towards Boise, the much higher likelihood that we will see temperatures at or above 100 degrees. Again, this is a week out. Things will change, but this gives you an idea. This event coming up may be a pretty hot and definitely a dry one across our region. So like we said, we've got daily showers and thunderstorms. Some of these storms will be producing some gusty winds and small hail where we can get a little heavier rainfall. The wind threat goes down, the hail threat remains. Afternoon winds will continue, the strongest likely being tomorrow across all of the region or most of the region, and then we get those warmer temperatures returning as we head towards the middle and end of next week. So have a great day. Have a great day for today, and not only today, through the entire holiday weekend, and do stay safe out there, everyone.